We are going to do a video on the man called Jesus. Now, that's a subject that can take a lifetime or more to do. So, what do we want? Do we want to know Jesus' teachings? Do we want to know who he was or more about him? Or do we want to know how we find out about him in the first place? There are many ways to do this. Many people have their own special way that they like the best. And don't forget also that probably my favorite way, first of all, is to look at what's called a harmony of the Gospels. When you put all the Gospels together, from every event that happened with Jesus all the way through, you will find that when you use a harmony of the Gospels, it will show you where the same things happened in the different Gospels, and they will put them all together so you can read them and see if there are differences between them. And you will also see some places where nothing happened in one of the Gospels, but it happened in another one, or only two of them had happened, and so forth. So that way you get some idea of what the Gospels are like when it comes to that. Because now I have more than one harmony of the Gospels, but this is my favorite, even though it's quite old. There are many things in here that are helpful. By the way, this is based on the Revised Standard Version of the Bible of 1946. But one thing about this that is unique, besides having a harmony of the Gospels, which of course I can show you what it looks like, and they have maps and things in here also, but saying we're talking about some events that have happened in more than one Gospel. Let's find a place where that happens. Here's a good example right here. Now you will see on this page, and it'll show you where they are in the harmony of the Gospels. If you take a look at this page right here, you'll see several things going on in different Gospels, but the same sayings. Now, what you will notice, though, also what he does on the side, this commentary that he has on the side summarize what is being said there. So it's almost a way to, what he calls almost a way to memorize what you're reading there so that you don't need to keep going back and forth. For example, Jesus the high priest, John's coming and mission. John is called by God and a sign is presented to him. John preaches repentance, the forgiveness of sins, and so forth. John's mission was foretold by the ancient prophecies of Malachi and of Isaiah, and so forth. So you will find that in there. Also, he says, compare, CF, Matthew, such and such and such. So that's what he does all the way through this book. Now, why do we say gospel? Well, because that seems to be the best way he is known. But I imagine originally he was known by oral tradition. But eventually it came to the point where there were those who felt that none of this should be lost by being forgotten or not handed down one person to another or one group to another, but should actually be put in writing. So that's what is the source of the Gospels. Now, another question is, which was the first Gospel? How many Gospels are there in the first place? Well, the way they show up in the Bible are Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Those are the four Gospels. Which Gospel was first, second, third, or fourth? Or can we tell? Or was there one Gospel that was a source where some of the others took from? That's another question. So we will have to begin investigating these issues. First of all, before we talk about Jesus himself, because in my mind, that seems to be the best way to get to the crux of what you're after.